The next film is Thunderball. Another. Speaking of James Bond, speaking of Sean Connery, um, I like Thunderball. I don't. I don't know if I would put it on a list of best action films. It's been a while since I've seen it last, but I would maybe see this on a list more than From Russia with Love. But at the same time, when it comes to Bond films, like I really don't consider this to necessarily be what I look for in an action film either.
To me, there's just a lot better Bond films. Like, where's GoldenEye?
Yes,
Unless that was said before.
I don't remember.
Was that said before,
I don't.
GoldenEye?
I don't remember us
Or
talking about
where's
Goldeneye.
License to Kill?
Yes, License to
Or
Kill,
where's The Spy Who Loved Me?
The Living Daylights. That's one of my favorites. I think it
Yeah.
is my favorite Bond film.
I mean, I think The Spy Who Loved Me is better than Thunderball.
Yeah, I agree.
And I just I don't hate Thunderball. I think there's many other James Bond films, Skyfall, that are
Yes.
better than Thunderball.
Yeah, I agree. Or maybe even the Casino Royale. Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, I would put that above. I would put those above Thunderball. Yeah.
Spy Who Loved Me. Uh, Trying to think of any others. But yeah,
Well, I mean, Goldfinger. I think
yeah.
Goldfinger was mentioned. I believe. I would think,
I
but
haven't. I don't think it. I didn't see it.
um,
So far with Bond films, I think the only ones I think we've talked about on this list so far is Thunderball and From Russia with Love. Unless I'm
where's
forgetting something.
Goldfinger's mentioned? If that's the case, well, Goldfinger is mentioned as the best Sean Connery Bond film. That's the case. Where's Goldfinger?
Nowhere to be found. They gave it the finger. The next film on the list is Ronin. Uh, Robert De Niro film directed by John Frankenheimer. It does have some nice car chases, and uh, it's a good film. It's another one. I don't know if I'd really call it an action movie though. I don't know about you.
I guess I'm fine with it compared to other films on the
Yeah,
list. I
exactly.
do think this is a very solid movie.
Yeah, I think it's in the same vein as Heat. It's kind of a similar kind of thing. So I can see where they're coming from now that I think about it. I definitely put it on there above, the train that arrived at the station. I mean, that's the what the fuck, or the Dark Knight, or Raging Bull.
Yeah, it's well directed. Some high flying, exciting car chase sequences. Nice supporting cast like John Renault. Yeah, Ronin's a good one. Ronin's
The
a good one.
next one is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Yeah, totally. The minecart chase alone, that is one of the best, most thrilling, exciting action sequences I think out there. I got a newfound appreciation for the film in general when I saw it in the theater. Uh, there was just something that the theater provided that the home video experience just didn't. And it was just one of those things where I was just like, wow, like this film is relentlessly paced, and it's one of the best adventure movies. And that minecart sequence is just thrills personified. Like it's a really terrific sequence, and some great set pieces, some really impressive stunt work, a good story, nice direction by Steven Spielberg. Um, yeah, overall, definitely a classic, and I'm fine with it being on the list. In a lot of ways, it's kind of tied with Raiders in some aspects, but then there's other ways where I like Raiders more. But Temple of Doom is still a terrific sequel and a definitely a worthy film of being on a list of best action movies.
Yeah, I mean, like you said with it's a it's an exciting it's an exciting movie where it has a lot of good dark aspects, which is
Yes.
surprising. But it's mixed in with some really good set pieces from the beginning. Escape scene from the you mentioned the minecart sequence, even the drawbridge scene.
Or the fight with Indy and the big burly thuggy cult member.
Yeah,
That's a great fight.
yet I always enjoyed Temple of Doom. I didn't even know it was dismissed until years later,
Yeah.
which was a surprise to me. I just assumed other people really enjoyed it as well. But I guess they didn't. It's dark.
Or it's unrealistic. No, they do that with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That's what they do. While they give a pass to Temple of Doom, and it's and it's over the top and unrealistic as well. That's another story. Yeah, Temple of Doom is a classic. No arguments here. Number 82 is Breakdown.
Yeah,
I love this film. I think it's a terrific thriller, but I I would not put this on a list of best action films. This isn't an action movie to me. As much as I love Breakdown, that'd be like me including putting Backdraft on a list of best action movies. And that's not an action film. It's a thriller. That it doesn't
right.
fit. I love Breakdown. It's honestly, in my opinion, Jonathan Mostow's best film. I think it's one of Kurt Russell's best. I think it's one of the best thrillers of the '90s period. It's got a simple but very effective story with this husband who's going on this vacation, this road trip with his wife. Something goes down. She goes missing, and he starts this quest of trying to get her back. And you have a lot of this stuff that's revealed about this truck driver, played by J.T. Walsh, who is not who he seems, and just as things just continually build up, it just gets all the more tense and suspenseful, and it's just a testament to a film that really does succeed on the back of its lead, Kurt Russell, on the back of the character that he's playing, because you are 100% in his corner throughout the entire movie. Like, where's my wife? No, you son of a bitch. Where is she? And it's just one of those films that definitely does grab you. Because J.T. Walsh seems like he's a might be a trustworthy guy, nice guy, giving his wife a ride. She goes missing. He finds him, flags him down, and he's like, "Hey, where's my wife?" Do you even have the cop? And he's like, "I don't know. I don't know what this guy's talking about." And then as it just you start to get more and more pieces of this character, and that he has this own underground sort of thing that he's doing, and then you lead up to the finale, and it is an explosive, exciting finale. I mean, it's not there's not explosives everywhere, but I mean in terms of like the intensity of it, I mean there's some really crazy stunt work. I mean Kurt Russell hanging off the edge of a moving truck, but I wouldn't call it an action film. That'd be like saying Kidnap is an action movie, right?
Right. Right. I mean, it's a breakdown is a
Or
good
Ransom.
thriller, but it is the thriller, and Caruso does carry the film, and it's a well-made movie. But yeah, I would. I think most people would call it more of a thriller than an action film. Yeah.
The next film is number 83. It's Full Contact. I've heard of this one. I think I remember seeing the cover art. Looked pretty badass, actually. Chow Yun Fat on a motorcycle, but I have yet to actually see the film.
I don't think I've seen the film.
Hmm.
I don't think so.
And number 84 is The Magnificent Seven. I wouldn't have it on my list. I know it was influential. I know that, but I just thought it was okay last time I saw it. And once again, it's more of a western, and I don't really remember a lot of the action being super memorable compared to other films that aren't on this list.
I think I've seen the film, but I remember the cast, but I probably say I remember the remake more with Denzel Washington and Chris Pratt more than the original,
What do you
honestly.
think of the remake?
I thought it was okay, mainly for the cast. I mean, I think the cast made the film work rather well. You had not just Denzel and Chris Pratt. I think you had Vincent
Uh huh.
D'Onofrio, and you had God, I forgot who else. I think the cast made it work, and I thought it was fine. It wasn't 5 out of 5 star movie, but it was
Mm-hmm.
decent.
Uh,
Decent for a modern western.
yeah. Sounds like it might be a fun movie. Number 85 is Scarface. I know you love this film, and I'm gonna let you take it. Like, what do you think about this film's place on the list? Do you see Scarface as an action movie?
Not really. I mean, the ending's explosive,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess you could, but I just, it's not what my first thought would have been. Like, oh, I automatically think of it as an action film. I think of it more as a crime.
Drama.
I guess just the crime genre. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be like saying
but I mean,
Carlito's
I love the
Way.
film. I mean, it's
Carlito's Way is an action film. Like I don't think Carlito's Way is an action film either. Um, that's a good film too.
right.
No offense to Scarface. I mean, Scarface is a legitimately classic film, but it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know. I don't. I'm surprised they don't make the argument that one of the Godfather films is an action film. Then, if you're gonna do that, because it's really just that one scene. Yeah, it's a very memorable scene that a lot of people talk about even to this day. But I don't know if that makes it qualify as an action movie. Number 86 is a film called The Mission. I've never seen and never heard of. Have you heard of it before? Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
So we don't have
Never
much
seen the mission.
don't have much to say about that one. But we definitely have a lot to say about the next film. What the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Number 87 on the list of the best action films of all time according to Time Out Films London is Machete. Or like Machete. Why the fuck is this film on this list?
Yeah, I mean, a list that you don't have Speed, you don't have Cliffhanger, you don't have Demolition Man, you don't have plentiful other movies,
You
but you
don't even have
have
a movie that
a film where a
lampoons the
woman gets
genre
her.
better than this film does, like Last Action Hero. Like if you want to have like, oh, it parodies the genre. Well, that's the quintessential film to me that parodies the genre of action in a creative way. You could make an argument for that being on the list, but Machete, I don't even know why I can't even pronounce Machete
No, instead
properly.
you got
I guess it's because I'm just so
no, instead
pissed.
you got a film where a woman pulls a phone out of her pussy.
Yeah, greatest.
That's what you have on the list.
The
I
the
mean,
the greatest action, one of the greatest action films of all time. I
I
don't
mean,
even.
it's shitty. I mean, Danny
Yeah.
Trejo doesn't work as a lead. He's
No.
not. He has a lack of charisma as a lead. The trailer was better than the movie. It's got
I mean, if you're
a
talking
lot
about
of
Robert
political
Rodriguez,
overtones. It just
why don't you have Desperado? Or
yeah, Desperado would be more appropriate.
yeah, if you're talking about action films by Robert Rodriguez, and fuck, you can make an argument for
Even
from
for
Dusk
Dust
Till
Till
Dawn.
Dawn,
Exactly. See, we read we read each other's minds right there.
yeah,
Yeah, but not Machete. God, why can I not pronounce that properly? Maybe because
Machete,
yeah, Machete. Yeah, that film
Machete
sucks.
do text.
God, fuck. Film sucks. The action, you saw the best action
It
in
does
the
suck.
fake trailer in Grindhouse.
Yeah, for yeah.
The actual film
You want to
itself,
see a better parody of action? You might was mention parody of action films. Go watch Shoot 'Em Up.
yes. I kind of forgot about that one actually. That's another legitimate gem. Like that would be on my list. That's a really exciting, fun, creative action movie for sure. Is Dread even on
That's
this
more
list?
gore for the
Either?
Machete.
If we're
I
talking,
can't remember the list. It's
I don't think it was.
can't remember.
If we're talking about like modern action films, something like the era of Machete,
I think they had the Raid Redemption, but I don't think they had
no, they
Dread.
didn't have Dread.
This,
You have Machete, but you don't have
well,
Dread.
there you go.
It's bullshit. Isn't that the one Steven Seagal had a cameo to? Right. So this
Yeah, he was the
qualifies
villain who killed himself at
as
the
the
end.
only Steven Seagal movie on this list. You don't have Out for Justice. Kind of Under Siege,
No, 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 above the law, none of it.
but
Just Machete.
just Machete. God. Oh, and yeah, I guess they love to talk about the border. I guess they were super big on that. It qualifies it as
Yeah,
one
they
of the
did.
greatest action movies. The next action film on the list
Uh,
is The Legend with Jet Li. Now, another one I haven't seen. Have you seen The Legend?
if I did, it's been so long, I don't remember a whole lot about it.
Yeah, I can't say much about it because once again, it's another one that I haven't had the opportunity to watch. Number 89 though, The Avengers. For those of you who might think I might be a Marvel fanboy, um, I, I'm not because I also find this film to be incredibly overrated. And I don't even think this is the best Avengers movie. Uh, if you're gonna do list of best action movies, I would put Age of Ultron above the Avengers. I would put Guardians of the Galaxy above the Avengers. If we're talking about Marvel films that are like the best action, or The Winter Soldier, the Avengers, yeah, you have a really exciting, fun climax in New York City. But prior to that, like, that's not best action movie material. That's not even best Marvel movie material or best Avengers movie material. You got an opening sequence which looks like it's a part of a it looks like it belongs on a TV show. You've got this really long extended boring ass scene of the Avengers trying to fix the helicarrier that just goes on so long you really could not care less about anything. You're like, to hell with that bullshit. And then you've got the Avengers bitching at one another and bickering, and then you get the finale, the final action sequence, the battle for New York, which is fun and exciting, and I do like it, but I wouldn't put this on the best list of 101 action movies. This isn't even one of my favorite Marvel films. You got anything to?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I apologize to people. I'm just a little bit tired,
Oh, it's
so
cool.
bear with me, people. Uh, the Avengers, when I first saw it, thought it was an okay film. Nothing great, nothing less. I thought it was just okay. And at the end of the day, I just thought it was okay. I think there's other Marvel films, Captain America, especially Captain America Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
I think is much more of a successful action film compared to
Yes.
this. And uh, yeah, it's there because of the name. It was a huge hit at the time, and was a big buildup of all these heroes finally coming together. Sort of the kind of the culmination of the success of the Marvel, which then branched even more to what we have today, which is to be in the shitter now.
Mm-hmm.
But back then was looked at with a higher goal of the promised land, so to speak, of
Yeah.
what will happen in the future with comic book movies. And it was very successful. The cast works well. I do agree that the action scenes, oh, it's really until the third act, there's not a whole lot of memorable action until the third act.
Yeah.
I think the third act is what really sold people on film and the concept. And I say it's an okay movie, would not be on my list. Again, Captain America Winter Soldier, I would put above
Yeah.
anyone others, but
And I'm not gonna say that
yeah,
the
it would
film.
not be on my list.
Yeah, just to make things clear, I don't hate the movie. I don't think it sucks because, like I said, I really do like the finale. It's just a time waster for me. It's just an average, okay film in the MCU in my eyes because of the stuff that is happening previously before the battle for New York. It's just not nearly as exciting or fun as some of the other films in the MCU and other Avengers movies. I think Age of Ultron gets way too much shit. I still don't get it to this day. It's the worst Marvel movie. It's the worst film in the MCU. It's the worst Avengers movie. I'm like, I don't get it. I always thought that was a really exciting, fun, enjoyable comic book film. And the great villain in Ultron, voiced by James Spader. And I actually like James Spader's Ultron more than Tom Hiddleston's Loki. I know a lot of people love Loki, and I always just thought he was okay. Like I never fell in love with Loki, like I did with James Spader's Ultron. The next film is number 90, Long Kiss Goodnight. We're almost there, almost ready to call it a night. I appreciate you hanging in there, my friend. Um, Long Kiss Goodnight is a film that I saw for the first time, and I think I even remember ranting on it. Didn't really care for it, and then I watched it again, and I loved it. I really do enjoy this film. I think it's one of the best action films of the '90s. I think it's really underrated. I'm really glad that it wound up on this list. This list is flawed. There's a lot of things that I think should be on this list. A lot of films that I feel are dearly missed on a list such as this, but having the longest goodnight on it, I got to give them some props because I don't think that gets enough love. And there's some really explosive, um amazing, jaw-dropping action sequences in this movie. Rennie Harlan just directed the hell out of this film, and I think the plot was engaging and interesting enough about this former spy who got amnesia essentially, and decided to settle down and live a normal life, and then her past comes back, and she finds a way to meld her idyllic life of being this homemaker and this mother with her reality, like her actual identity as Charlie Baltimore, this blonde haired badass super spy. And speaking of Charlie Baltimore, like Gina Davis, like I got to be honest, this is probably my favorite film of hers. When she's like the lead, because I don't really count like David Cronenberg's The Fly as a Gina Davis movie, but Long Kiss Goodnight is a Gina Davis film, and she is one of the most badass, undervalued, overlooked female action heroes out there in this movie. And she's also fucking drop dead gorgeous and hot too, so that's definitely a plus. But yeah, I really enjoy this film. Samuel L. Jackson is also really good as the buddy to Gina Davis's character. The villain, like it's not the most memorable performance, but the guy does a good job playing a dickhead, like the kind of guy where you definitely do want to see him get blown up at the end. Yeah, great movie. Does not get enough love. I would put that on a list of more underrated Shane Black films, along with The Last Boy Scout, which is another film that I feel should have been on this list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you said as good as I could have. It's a good movie. It's better than when they remade it into Captain Marvel.
Yeah, a hell of a lot better. That would be on a list of like worst action films of the 2000s for me. Definitely worst comic book movies. Well, this is definitely deserving of being on the list of best action films. I mean, there's just a lot of things to like about it if you're an
Yes, it
action
does.
fan. Um, Speaking of The Last Boy Scout, I just wanted to briefly mention that. Like, why do you feel The Last Boy Scout is one of the best action films of the 90s to you?
Um, Despite them hating each other, I think Bruce Willis and David Wayans had good chemistry with each other, and I think it had a really it had a really interesting script with how the dialogue is spoken. It's very unique bits of dialogue, where the way Bruce Willis talks to himself, the way he talks to his wife, the way he's like, "What do you want me to spit on you? What do you spit in my face?" It was very. It wasn't typical, and it would not be something that would be done today. It
I mean,
just gave a unique feel and
yeah, even the opening,
unique sound.
like even the opening of the film, the football scene, like immediately
Oh
you're
yeah, when
like,
Billy Blank shoots himself.
yeah, immediately you're like, wow,
It-
this is very different. This is very stark. I would have not seen a lot of films in this genre like this. And immediately after that first gun blast, a violent football game, and a lot of ways that take a Monday Night Football, you're just like, wow, okay, all right, I'm really into this. And then the dialogue, I mean, the back and forth with Bruce Willis's character and Bruce McGill, like, what, you tripped and slipped and it's like, what was the whole thing? Is it like you tripped and accidentally put your dick in my wife?
yeah,
And yeah, despite the fact
it
that
is a
Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis hated each other, like you couldn't really tell. They had great chemistry.
And it's a very cynical, but it's cynical in a fun way with the dialogue. Like, you don't lose. Smile, you fuck.
Yeah.
This is why he's talking to himself, and
Yeah.
very unique. It's not typical for your hero to be speaking like
Yeah.
that, and it made it bit bit different
Yeah.
from the usual.
And then you have the whole bit with the moment where Bruce Willis's character, he's talking about, it was like, I'm gonna kick your ass, or it was like, I'm gonna break your nose. Trying to remember exactly
Yeah,
that exchange.
yeah, you touch me, you touch me again, I'll kill you. And then he
And then he
shoves
does
the
it.
nose into the guy's brain.
He fucking does it. He touches him again, and then Bruce Willis kills him. Yeah, that's it. That's a good one for sure.
And it's definitely a visceral. It's a viscerally violent movie too, thanks to Tony
Mm-hmm.
Scott. I mean, you have the bad guy get chopped up by
Yeah.
helicopter blades,
Yeah.
and then Bruce Willis dances after it.
He does the jig.
Dances the jig, as
Yeah.
he says it.
So,
Satan Claus out there, just be prepared. Be prepared.
yeah, Last Boy
Satan
Scout
Claus is out there.
kicks kicks ass, and I feel that should have been on the list for sure.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Another Tony Scott film, a couple to other Tony Scott films that I think you could make an argument for. Black Rain. It's a really solid film. There's some nice action set pieces, great visuals. Um, and I know some people might disagree, but I think Top Gun, you can make an argument. There's the sequences with the fighter jets are honestly some of the best you will ever see in terms of the way that they're shot, the way they're edited. I've always felt those scenes with the Tomcats are just really terrific. Stuff that you really do want of an action film in terms of the thrills and the excitement. Um, Number 91 is Armor of God. I think this is one of your favorites, right?
No, it was Operation Condor, which
Oh,
is Armor of God 2.
oh, okay.
Because overseas, it was Armor of God, and then Armor of God 2, Operation Condor.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the US, they reversed it for some reason, where the sequel was called Operation Condor, and then when the first one came out, it was called Operation Condor 2, Armor of God.
Ah,
But Armor of God is decent. It has a couple of good action scenes. That's the film where Jackie Chan had the bad accident. They fell off a tree and hit his
mm-hmm.
head, busted his head open, almost died because of it. So to this day, he has like a hole in his head from that. Because he grabbed a tree, it fell, and he hit his head on a rock, and to this day, he's got a hole in his head because of
Dang.
it. But
The fact that he just kept going and kept doing these crazy stunts and all this other shit after that, like that's amazing. Amazing perseverance.
yeah,
It really is.
exactly. And it's pretty much Jackie Chan's take on Indiana Jones. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, not with as big of a budget or scale or scope, but and yeah, I prefer the sequel Operation Condor, but Armor of God's a decent movie, especially in its third
Yeah.
act.
The next film on the list is Gladiator from the year 2000. I don't know what it is. I've never really been able to get into this film. Like I've never loved the movie like a lot of people have. There are certain sequences, certain elements of it that I appreciated. There's some nice visuals. Russell Crowe does a good job acting wise. So does Joaquin Phoenix. Ridley Scott did a good job directing it. But there's never really a moment where I'm like, oh yeah, I love Gladiator. I just, even when it came out, like I was just like, really, that was it? Like that's what the hype was about? I definitely don't think it deserved Best Picture, and I wouldn't put it on a list of Best Action Films either. What are your thoughts on Gladiator? I liked the boxing movie Gladiator more than this one with Cuba Gooding Jr. and James Marshall and Brian Denny.
Yeah, I mean, I like that movie. I do like that film. The This is one of those films I saw like once or twice, and I didn't really get the hype. Didn't think it was an awful movie. I just went whatever, and then I really never watched it again.
Yeah, that's
I know
I'm in
there's
the
the
same boat.
sequel idea that was really insane.
Wasn't that the one where like he came back from the dead or something? Something along those lines.
Yeah, and something like that, and then like throughout it, it got really weird. Like then he was immortal and he went through the years like Vietnam and all these other
What the
wars,
fuck?
and then he was like
So now he's like the
part of the
Highlander.
war council, and
Speaking of Highlander,
that's what it seemed like. It was a really weird.
that's one that I'd rather have on the list than Gladiator. If we're talking about best action films, I mean the sword fights alone could put it up there.
Which they're remaking,
Of course. Haven't they always? That's another one like the
with
Crow
Henry Cavill.
remake, where they've been like, we're gonna remake Highlander, and we've got the director of Fast and the Furious, whatever. Oh well, no, it didn't work out. Wasn't there someone like Ronda Rousey as a Highlander or some shit at one point? I think.
I don't remember that. I remember
Yeah,
Roadhouse with her in
Roadhouse.
it.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see if that actually does happen or not. The next film on the list is number 93, War. Okay, that's the only Jason Statham film on the list. War, like what is honestly one of his weaker, more disappointing films to me. Like, you don't have the Transporter, or Transporter 2, or any of the Crank films. We have War.
Yeah, that to me that doesn't deserve to be on the list. And I don't think the story's that interesting. I think the twist is a bit lame, and it's more Jet Li's film than Statham. And there's they've both done better work, and their fight scene together when they face off is really lame because the
Mm-hmm.
director purposely wanted more of a what was said. I think there was a commentary with the writers, and they mentioned the director wanted the fight to be more of like a use these chains and use this and that, and not the martial arts deal. And I don't know why, because the director's an idiot, and he probably didn't direct again for that being a fucking idiot. Um, I don't remember the director's name, but I bet he never
Philip
directed again
G.
because he's a fucking
Atwell.
moron.
Philip G. Atwell. Like we
And
have
did he
war.
direct again?
I don't know. We have War on the list of best action
Probably
films,
not.
but we don't have the John Wick any of the John Wick sequels. We don't have Speed. Like, we're gonna keep mentioning Speed because it bears repeating.
Or Dread.
Or Dread. Number 94 is Lone Wolf and Cub 2, Baby Cart at the River Styx. Haven't seen it. Heard about it. Heard about the Lone Wolf and Cub films. I just have never had the opportunity to see them. Have you seen any of them?
Uh, I saw it recently. It was really good. It was called The Mandalorian. But oh, this one I haven't seen.
The next film, number 95. It's honestly one of my favorites. I love Romancing the Stone. Yeah, it's one of my favorite action adventure movies. It's also my pick for like the best rom com. It has all the it really is a romance movie. Like, it's called Romance in the Stone. Kathleen Turner plays a romance novelist. It has elements of those romance pulp novels, and it's just a really rollicking, fun ride of a movie. Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas are a really great pair. Danny DeVito's fun. The villain is kind of not the best, but he's menacing enough. And the action, when it is there, it's really thrilling and exciting. Robert Zemeckis, this is the film that put him on the map. This is why he got Back to the Future. Um, this is a testament of a director who you really legitimately uh, wanted to have some faith in, but then something kind of didn't work out. The films weren't big hits, but he was given one more chance with this movie, and it showcased that he is every bit as talented as people made him out to be. And it was nice to see that audiences realized that talent and made it so it was possible for him to do films like Back to the Future later. Um, it's right up there with the Indiana Jones films for me in terms of this genre, and I've always been a huge fan of this film. Grew up watching it on VHS. Uh, Kathleen Turner in this film was honestly one of my first film crushes. Uh, really fell in love with her as a kid, um, and I always felt she was a great actress and just a good personality. And it's a shame what happened to her because of the hand that she was dealt uh, with her sickness and everything. It really is. But she was able to leave her mark in films like this, and yeah, I really do feel that this film is definitely right at place on a list like this, and I think it's too low. I would have it higher on the list. That's just me personally. One of my favorite films that Michael Douglas has done too.
I mean, right. I remember liking the film. I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember enjoying it for what it is. I remember it had good chemistry between the two leads, and Danny DeVito was fun.
Number 96 is a film called Shiri. Another one I haven't seen, so I can't say much about it.
Never seen it. Never seen it.
Um, Number 97 though, another one where I'm like, I'm just scratching my head and just trying to wrap my head around why this is on a list like this. There are episodes of the show that this film is based on that have 10 times better action sequences and are just more memorable, period, than the 2006 adaptation of Miami Vice.
Movie's fucking boring.
Yeah.
Just incredibly boring.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you what the plot of the movie was. Like, it dwindled and it was slow and it was a sluggish ordeal to sit through. And yeah, I can't even tell you what the story, what the plot was. I thought the two leads had no chemistry with each other. They didn't even seem like they liked each other.
I mean, even in
They
the
tried to have some
photo,
romance with
look at the
Colin
photo
Farrell's
they
some
have
girl.
here. Like, they look like they don't even want to be together just in the publicity photos.
If you want to see Miami Vice, just go watch the Bad Boys
Yeah,
films.
exactly. Or just watch Miami Vice. Watch the TV show. Like,
Yeah, it was
even
much
from a
better than this.
visual perspective, like, this film was just dull looking. Especially in comparison to the show. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the praise for the film. I don't get why it's on this list. It just baffles me. Um, Number 98 is a film called 13 Assassins. I've heard about this. There's another one that I've heard some good things about, but I have yet to see it. I was directed by Takashi Miike, but can't really say much about it. Have you seen that one?
It sounds familiar, but if I saw it, it's not a film that I remember much about, to
Hmm.
be honest. So I don't
And
remember it.
the next one is another John Woo film from 1990, Bolt in the Head.
Yes, I saw this for the first time a year or two ago. I really, really enjoyed it. Yes, the story of these three guys who grew up together, and through certain situations, I'm not going to give much away of the plot. I'll just say this. It's a good emotional story, but has some really excellent old school violent John Woo gunfight sequences and what these three guys go through and what happens to some of them. Again, I'm not going to give away for people who haven't seen it. The title is definitely sufficient in describing certain aspects, and um, there's definitely like a John Woo film. I would say is one of his more underrated ones. Just no one ever talks about the film. Yes, I would say Hard Boiled and such are better, but this would definitely be in my top five John Woo movies.
Oh,
I really was impressed by it.
cool.
I was
Um,
really impressed by it.
sounds good. I'll definitely keep an eye out for this one. Um, the next one, number 100. We're almost there, folks. Uh, Duel to the Death, another one never seen. It's from 1983. It's another, I think, wire fu Shaolin monk movie. Does it ring a bell for you?
Yeah, I believe I saw this a few months ago, and if it's the film I'm thinking of, I remember enjoying it. I remember liking it. It wasn't like it was wire fu, but it was more of this fun, over the top style
Like
that
Big
was
Trouble in Little
more,
China, kind of.
in a way, yes. Especially the third act. Especially the third act was some crazy stuff. It's slow in spots, but I thought the third act made up for it, and um, I think it's like one guy is a samurai and one guy's a monk, and they're brought together because they're supposed to do this duel. But then there's other things going on, so they help each other. But then at the end, through honor and code, they do their duel at the end.
Mm-hmm.
There's some pretty good, crazy stuff in the third act. Like, again, I won't give away for people to, but it is pretty violent and crazy in the third act, and um, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it. It would not be in my top 100, but I didn't mind the
Mm-hmm.
film.
So now we get to number 101. It's fitting that the last film on this list is another film that is very questionable in terms of its placement. Sorcerer. Uh, I saw this a long time ago. I remember liking it okay, but I would not call this an action film. It's definitely more of a thriller. Just like the original Wages of Fear is more of a thriller. It's not really an action movie. Um, Roy Scheider, I remember, was really good in it. Freaking did a good job with the directing. The film was one of those movies in the late 70s where the director had full control, and I remember reading some crazy stories about like how incredibly difficult it was to shoot. Um, and I don't think it did well when it came out. But
No, it didn't.
it's just one of those things where just the writer's personal preference, I guess. But I just think it's very questionable to say the least to put this on a list of best action movies. Best thrillers, maybe. Best action films, not so much. Have you seen Sorcerer?
Yeah, I remember not caring for the ending of the film. It kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, I would say, kind of ruined the movie for me. But
yeah. That's a big
uh,
reason why I just thought it was
I,
okay. It's because of the ending. It's not very
yeah,
satisfying.
B- yeah, and it's like I'll spoil it. Sorry, folks. It's like a 40-year-old movie. Roy Scheider, goes through all this, to enter a bar, and then outside you see that the men that probably don't come in to kill him. I'm like, that's pretty lame. Yeah, I would not call it an action film. It is more of a thriller. Like the scene people remember is going over the bridge as slow as you can so it doesn't blow up. I mean, again, I wouldn't call that action. I would call that more of a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to suspense. It's a suspense movie.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would not
So
call it an action film.
now that we have reached the end of the list, I think I'll end things like this. Matt, what films off the top of your head do you feel we're missing the most from this list, other than Speed and some of the other films that we've talked about?
Well, I'm trying to remember what all was on the list because it's been a while since we've done
Hmm.
the first part of it,
I mean, there's
and
Kill
then
Bill, there
also
was the first Lethal
uh,
Weapon, First Blood, Rambo 2, Predator, RoboCop, um, Die Hard, Raiders of the Lost Ark, T2, Hard Boiled, Mad Max, The Road Warrior.
was there was there any Van Damme?
No, not a
Well, I mean that
single.
right there. There's no Bloodsport. There's no
Yeah.
yeah, no Bloodsport, no Hard Target, no.
Mm-mm.
I mean Universal Soldier, no Time Cop.
Nope.
You don't have Broken Arrow. You don't have uh, Con Air. I don't think Con Air was on there,
Mm-mm.
right?
Nope.
There was no. We mentioned Dread. We mentioned Speed. We mentioned Cliffhanger, Demolition Man, The Running Man. Uh, I mean, was the first Taken on there?
No.
It was right, right?
No.
No,
I don't think it was. Let me
that's
see.
surprising too. The first Taken,
I think they mentioned Taken, but I don't think it's on the list. I'm still looking through it right now.
but I mean, okay, like superhero movies, like they have a couple superhero films like the Avengers, but you don't have Batman '89. You don't have
Mm-mm.
uh, Captain America, Winter Soldier, among other stuff. You don't have Shoot 'em Up. You don't have really any of Dolph Lundgren's films. You have no Jeff Speakman films. Out for Justice, Under Siege, Predator 2, of course, for
Mm-hmm.
me. I Come in Peace. Uh,
I'd throw in some things like some dark
I'm trying to
horses
think.
like Revenge of the Ninja. Maybe lower on the list, but I think that's like one of the better ninja movies with Shokasugi. Some really nice
Yeah, that's a
fight
good one.
choreography. Um, good stunt work. Nemesis. Olivier Gruner. I
Yeah,
mean, some really awesome action on a very low budget, and you could see that other films, particularly Underworld, definitely were inspired by it. That's for sure.
yeah,
There's just a lot of stuff. I mean,
yeah. That would definitely be on there.
there's just a lot of films in the genre that I think you could make the argument could be on a list like this, and they're just missing. And just to have no Van Damme representation at all just feels like an insult for the action genre, doesn't it? Or no Seagal, like no Seagal's an asshole. And he's a fat bastard now, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't a part of some legitimately good, if not great, action films in his prime, like Hard to Kill.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, like you don't even have Desperado on there. You don't
No,
even have a variety of other movies on there, which is ridiculous to me. I mean,
we gotta have a rival of a train.
uh, there's no Escape from New York. I mean, there's
No,
no Assault on Precinct 13. I don't
mm-mm.
think.
No,
I think Big Trouble in Little China was on there.
no,
I think
it wasn't.
it wasn't.
No, we've been
Well,
talking
Big
about
Trouble in
it.
Little China, that's another one. I mean, yeah, the list goes on and on. Die
It
Hard sequels could be on
yeah,
there. I
it's
mean,
like Dire with a Vengeance. It seems like a list that was made by a writer or writers like Joshua Rothkopf and Phil D. Semmelin that aren't action film fans. And like that's the worst that
yeah,
those
well, yeah, I mean, you got Sorcerer, you got Breakdown, you
yeah,
got a lot of these other films that are more thrillers than action films,
North by
or you
Northwest,
get stuff
Vanishing Point, Star Wars, Raging Bull.
that seems like, yeah, it's like it's more films for cultural relevance in their eyes, like Raging Bull, like Star Wars, like that train thing, whatever it was called.
Runaway. Oh yeah, the Arrival of the
That's more,
Train. Yeah.
yeah, this is like more relevant for the cultural landscape of, like, I gotta put this on here, otherwise people get mad or something. That, well, you don't have Star Wars, you don't have Avengers, you don't have Dark Knight. Well, yeah, I got them. It's on the list, so that automatically means it's a good list
But I mean, this is a
in
list
their eyes.
that
And
from the very beginning. I mean, number one is Aliens. We already talked about it, but it already started off on a questionable foot with a photo from Alien. Like how much thought was really put into this list? It doesn't seem like as much as we have put into talking about this list and talking about other
yeah,
films in the genre.
Aliens is a good choice. Aliens is a good choice, but you don't even have the right picture. So it's like, come on now. You can easily find a picture for Aliens. Like, come on, it's not that hard. And this is a website you're getting paid to do.
Exactly. They
I
should pay
mean,
us. They should pay us to do a list of
so
action best action films.
yeah, at least our favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, our favorites.
Because the best is subjective. Our
Yeah.
favorite action
Yeah.
films.
I got one more. I think
And it's,
you got like RoboCop 2. I would put that on there because I feel that's underrated and that there's some nice action sequences in it. Blind Fury. I've always thought that had some really
mm-hmm.
impressive uh, uh, action moments in it for a relative low budget. Um, there's just a lot of things that you could put on there that just are missing, that are completely absent, and it's a shame. But is what it is. I'm
Yeah.
glad and happy that you joined me on this journey, and thank you,
Thank you.
and thank you all for listening, and yeah, until the next time Matt and I team up and do something along these lines, we will see you later.
Take care.